Yo guys, say what's up? Long time no see. Um, it's been a minute. um, Definitely a long minute. I don't even know when was the last time I did a video. I really try hard to stay consistent, but my scheduling from work, yeah, enough in itself is just so hectic. Um, but I'm back. I want to talk about this. I'm probably I don't even know what time it is, but I know it's late. Um, AEW, AEW just had arguably you could say one of their biggest Dynamite episodes of the year. We only have like 3 weeks left until we hit the new year, 2021. So I think it's safe to say that this is like the biggest like episode that they've ever done. Um, wow. Two things that came out of this: a huge surprise. I don't think anyone saw coming. Um, and then the end result of the main event. Um, I don't know where to start with this. So the first two matches, yeah, first 2 or 3 matches in Dynamite, they were all right. There is what it was. I'm not gonna go beat for beat everything that happened in the show. Just the big key talking points, the two key talking points. The Cody Rhodes tag team match. You had Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin against Team Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricky Starks. Um, it was a good tag team match. To me, that this is where the show kind of picked up. Um, the match itself was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was an entertaining match. Um, Team Taz, after Cody and Darby won, they get they get the snot beat out of them, and you know they get beat up by the whole trio of Team Taz. Then we see the lights go out on the Tron. There is uh, uh, like winter, because the whole tagline for the show for weeks has been "Winter is coming." And then we see a name drawn on lightning bolts: Sting. Sting comes out to make his appearance on AEW Dynamite. Sting on TNT. Goddamn. I marked out like a bitch. I'm sorry. Yes, Sting is 56 or 57. He wears makeup, so, you know, any wrinkles or crinkles or whatever, as long as the camera isn't too close up in his face, Sting looks just as good, you know, now than he was, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago in this WWE run. Um, this was awesome. Just to see him, like, it was awesome. I don't expect Sting to wrestle. If he does wrestle one match or whatever, I don't know. I really don't expect him to wrestle. But the big thing out of this for me is Sting's brand power. Sting's an iconic character. He is one of the most recognizable wrestling faces in the world. I think what Jericho did for AEW, him being a veteran and him being like their very first champion, I think has done good and continues to do good things for AEW. But I think the branding power of Sting is going to help AEW even the more. Um, just because of his character. I mean, I'm just thinking merchandising. I mean, I bought a shirt. I bought the Sting AEW shirt. Um, I'm thinking action figures. I'm thinking about when they put him in for their if they put him in for the new video game that's soon to come out at some point. Um, I'm looking at it from a intellectual property position. Sting is good for AEW in that regard. Um, just as Sting made his appearance, he stared down, you know, everyone. He didn't whack anyone with the baseball bat or whatever. Um, Next week, he is going to make an appearance on TNC on Dynamite to speak. But it was awesome to see him. I mean, like, holy crap. Um, it was kind of rumored for months when things kind of like when, you know, Sting's whole merchandise and everything was just taken off of WWE's website on their shop website, and then it was rumored that WWE and Sting had quietly parted ways. That Sting's Legend contract had ended, and I guess they didn't even think to sign him to Legends deal or anything like that. They were kind of like done with them. And it was rumored, like literally, as soon as that happened, the next day, people were starting to say, like, is Sting coming to AEW? It was rumors that he might make an appearance at one of their last pay per views. If it wasn't Full Gear, I think it was the pay per view before that. The pay per view that they had like in October or whatever. The Sting was gonna appear there, and none of it happened, and Sting remained quiet or whatnot. Well, as Sting debuted on Dynamite, AEW sent out a press release on their Twitter account from Tony Khan saying that they have signed Sting to a multi-year contract. Multi-year. So Sting's in this for the long haul, and what I really like with AEW is, I know a lot of people have this thing for old stars coming back, and taking the spotlight or whatever from the younger talent. You're really starting to see, I really just think this year alone, you're really starting to see a lot of nostalgia for yesterday's athletes, because even, the whole Mike Tyson fight thing that happened this past weekend did pretty big numbers and they had big publicity. You look in WWE, Goldberg and Undertaker and everything. I will say this: the one thing I do like about AEW and how I don't mind seeing Sting. Like I said, I'm really not expecting him to wrestle. I'd be surprised if he even gets one wrestling match, considering, the injury that he had sustained 5 years ago in WWE, which rendered him, not being able to compete in the ring. I'd be really surprised to see him wrestle. But even just one match. But still, the thing I like about AEW is AEW has a way of using their veterans a little bit better than WWE, where they tend to use their wrestlers as managers. They may be a manager on screen, but behind the scenes, these are guys that have been successful and that can build the future. And if you really look at it, you go back and you compare it to TNA. Kind of funny I mentioned that. That's going to be another talking point. One of the things in TNA that was always said was that a lot of the key talent, in terms of like veterans or whatnot, were people who really were all jobbers or whatnot in WCW. They weren't main event guys that really had mediocre to little success, but they never were like at that top level to say like, hey, I've been there to that mountain, and now I can pass that knowledge on to you. You look at AEW and you look at the veterans that they have. Arn Anderson, even though Jake Roberts has never been a heavyweight champion, Jake Roberts was up there. You have Jim Ross. You have Jericho, who is a veteran in himself. Been there, done that. What's some other legends? I'm just trying to think that they have there. Taz, to some extent. I mean, even though he was a big deal in ECW. But still, there's that. Now you have Sting. Sting, who was like the guy in WCW Nitro. These are all guys they're like building blocks and foundations. Even Billy Kidman, not Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman never was a world champion, but definitely he was a decorated tag team wrestler. He was an upper mid card guy. Point is, these are all successful guys that, despite what roles they may play on screen and being a manager, or a commentator in Jim Ross's case, their knowledge and experience that they can bring behind the scenes for the newer generation, I think is tremendous. And definitely, I'm liking the team that Tony Khan's kind of building. Having that solid foundation of the past for his roster to grow and for the future for for tomorrow. I like that. It's not just a bunch of people, yes men in suits and people who's been writing drama shows. It's people who's in the wrestling business, who knows the wrestling business, who's been there and done that, and they can be that guy for the next generation. So that was awesome seeing Sting. I love that. I popped for that. Then we get on to the main event: Kenny Omega versus John Moxley. We had Don Callis, who made his second appearance tonight on Dynamite. Who those of you may or may not know, Don Callis, co-president of Impact Wrestling. I can't remember who's the other guy, the other co-president. I keep forgetting this fucking name. But anyway, he made a second appearance tonight on commentary. The match itself, main event match, it was good. It kind of felt like it went both ways, where for a little bit half the match you kind of got a John Moxley type of like deal, and then towards the second end of the match, it started to become more of a Kenny Omega type wrestling style match. But as them going back and forth, we get to a spot where John Moxley throws Kenny Omega into like a little heated fan or whatever. They call all the referees. Don Callis gets off the booth. When Don Callis got off the booth and he was like trying to get the referees off of Omega, trying to figure out what was going on, make sure Omega was okay, I was kind of like, I'm like, okay, you know what, some bullshit's gonna happen, because why would Don Callis comes back a second time, which to me, I thought this is, again, details how AEW, what I really like about them a lot, details. It was an important thing to have Don Callis on there. Don Callis to me is great on commentary. I don't know why he doesn't do it anymore in Impact, but it was really good to hear Don Callis in this match in particular on commentary, just because he's someone who knows Kenny Omega. He's very familiar with Kenny Omega, and he can give that background story or information to viewers who may not know or follow or have followed Kenny Omega prior to AEW. So I thought having Don Callis there was great on commentary. But going back to the climax of the match, when Don Callis got there around the, I was like, some fuckery is going to happen. Something is going to happen. Moxley takes Omega. He doesn't care what anyone else says. He throws him in the ring because he's like, we're going to finish this. We're not going to end this main event like this. Don Callis gets a microphone and is saying like, hey, are you seriously going to keep going? He's hurt. Kenny Omega's hurt. John Moxley sees this, gets pissed off, hits Don Callis in the face, knocks him out. The referee is attending to Don Callis. While this is happening, Kenny Omega takes the microphone that Callis had because it rolled over into the ring. Moxley picks up Omega. Omega just jabs him one good time in the temple of his forehead with the microphone. Moxley gets busted. Omega hits him 3 times with the V-trigger. Hits him with the one-winged angel. 1, 2, 3. My man, Kenny Omega, AEW champion. And fully turned heel, by the way. Omega's heel turn was kind of sprinkled around throughout the summer. Especially when they lost the tag team titles. You could definitely see the heel turn was coming. It's official now. He turned heel. His win was controversy. It was a controversy. There was some controversy in how he won the title. He played dirty. Kenny Omega played dirty. And, for as much as I love a babyface Kenny Omega, I think this is completely fine. I'm completely fine with this. Kenny Omega, to me, I think, for as good as a babyface he makes, I think he makes a much better kind of snarly, cocky, kind of, heel. Like the cleaner, like he was when he was in the junior heavyweight division back in New Japan. That kind of snarly little, little prick you just want to get your hands on. You love to hate. You hate him because he's a prick, but you love him because he's so talented and he's good at what he does in the ring. That Kenny Omega, I hope, is what we get in AEW. And I'd be completely fine with that. Right guy won the match. Getting back to the action, Kenny Omega and Don Callis run off. We get an interviewer and says, "What are you guys doing? What happened? Why did you do this?" And Don Callis says, "You'll find out on Tuesday night." On Tuesday. And he said, "Tuesday, but Dynamite is on Wednesday." He says, this next Tuesday on Impact, on Access TV. And they get in the SUV and they run off. And I was just like, wait, what? We will get to hear from the new AEW World Champion on Impact Wrestling next Tuesday on Access TV. What? Like, it just upped the ante. And I know a lot of people have their critiques and their criticisms of Impact Wrestling. But the fact that, here's the bigger picture. Impact and AEW are having a working relationship. AEW and NWA have had some sort of working relationship when they had their, and still have their NWA Women's Champion wrestling on their show. I think it's fucking cool. And it really goes back to, what they said since the beginning, AEW, when, they first announced this whole thing almost 2 years ago, that they wanted this to be something for the wrestling community where all the wrestlers can come together and get together. I think that is awesome. I think that is cool. It's going to make you want to tune in to Dynamite to hear from the AEW champion. Obviously, this is something that has been in the works. But I guess you could say we kind of, I don't say maybe saw it coming, but when Don Callis first appeared on Dynamite, it was just kind of, I don't think anyone thought much of it. Some people kind of thought maybe there might have been inner workings between AEW or Dynamite, and others thought that maybe Don Callis might have left Impact to do some work with Dynamite. But, Don Callis being one of the creative presidents for Impact, and you have Tony Khan being the president of AEW, and Omega being one of the VPs, and he's close with Don Callis, and I'm sure Don Callis likes Tony Khan. I mean, you have three key people there, who are willing to work together to make this storyline work. Does that mean will we get, see some Impact stars crossover with AEW, or AEW crossover with Impact? That is a possibility. That could happen. I just think it's awesome. I think that, between Sting's debut, Omega winning the title, turning heel, winning the title, and aligning himself with Don Callis, which also makes sense. Like I said, again, they go back. Callis knows Omega, so for them working together, I think it'd be cool. I think it's cool. When was the last time Don Callis managed a wrestler? Was it Rhino? I think he managed Rhino back in ECW. When Rhino was either the TV champion or the ECW heavyweight champion, one of the two. But yeah, I like Don Callis. He goes way back. So having Don Callis, align himself with Kenny Omega, I'm all for this. And then, like I said, the bomb that they dropped at the end of the show, a working relationship between AEW and Impact, that is awesome. I'm hyped tonight. If AEW's ratings tomorrow do not reflect 1 million views, I will be shocked. Because the reception I've seen on the internet between Sting's appearance, Omega winning the title, AEW has been nothing but having good receptions on tonight's episode. If they don't get 1 million views tomorrow, I don't know what will, honestly. They've built this world title match like a big fight feel. It felt big. The video packages for it was phenomenal. Not say phenomenal, but it was good. I watched the build-up video that they had that dropped on Monday on YouTube for the main event, and it was a really well documented promo piece building up for the heavyweight title fight that happened tonight. So between all of that, the build that they've built for tonight's show, it's Tony Khan said in the media scrub, it did feel pay-per-view esque, pay-per-view like quality. So I'm loving it, and I've said it before, and I will continue to say it again. Out of all the wrestling shows since this pandemic has happened, AEW has been putting on more of the better shows to me. I'm sorry, there have been some AEW shows that have been kind of weak. There have been some AEW shows you kind of question yourself, kind of question like that doesn't make sense. But 8 times out of 10, AEW has put on the better wrestling pandemic shows. Slowly after that, I'd probably say SmackDown and NXT kind of being interchangeable. SmackDown more so because of Roman Reigns coming back and, the things they've been doing with him, and the roster seems like it's a little bit more steady and storylines a little bit more focused. Raw's just been at the bottom, I think, of everyone's barrel in terms of what they watch and what they prioritize. Yeah, but like I said, compared to all the wrestling shows that I watch here in America, the stateside wrestling, AEW has been putting on the best shows, more enjoyable shows, at least to me, during this whole pandemic thing. And that was the only other sad thing too, between the Sting surprise, and I know they had like 1,000 fans in attendance, which is like 5 or 10% what they would usually have. But again, this kind of goes back to show that if we did not have this stupid pandemic, if this virus thing just would not have happened, having Sting come tonight and even the title win with Omega, with a full live audience, that would have been awesome. Because like I said, for as good as AEW is and things of that sort and things I like about them, one of the true key ingredients of what makes AEW an excellent watch is the live energy of the fans, because the fans genuinely enjoy AEW and they enjoy what they see, and you watching that on TV, you feel that it's infectious and it helps just really the overall show. So yeah, this is just my thoughts on this, guys. I really didn't mean to make it 22 minutes long. I meant to make it like maybe 10, 15 minutes tops. But this is all the things I needed to say. Let me know what you guys thought about AEW Dynamite. Omega being champion and turning heel, the working alliance between Impact and AEW, where you think that could lead, and Sting making his debut. Where do you see things going for Sting in AEW now that he's signed a multi-year deal? I think this is awesome. This is great. Do yourself a favor, like this video, and subscribe. Peace.